America and even the rest of the world is really entering a financial crisis, and the warning signs for this are everywhere. I mean, if you probably feel already like your paycheck doesn't go as far as it used to go, and you're not imagining it, because I feel the same way. If buying a house feels impossible, you're not alone, because a lot of people that I know personally, I mean, if you're worried about job security, it's not something that's just in your head. It is a reality right now. And America is entering what could be the first major financial crisis for Gen Z adults, and the second gut punch for millennials. Now, this isn't about panicking right now. It's really about getting you prepared. The people who understand what's happening and adjust now will come out ahead, and those who ignore the signs will get crushed. So what's actually happening right now? Well, first of all, it's the inflation trick. Prices stopped rising as fast, but they're not coming back down. When the news says inflation is cooling, they mean prices are rising slower, not that things are getting cheaper. I mean, the damage that's been done since 2019 is that groceries are 25% more than they used to be. Your $100 grocery trip now costs around $125. Your rent is around 20 to 30% up. That $1,200 apartment is now worth around $1,440 or $1,560-ish. Gas, insurance, utilities are all significantly higher. Wages are 15% up, but even though you're making a bit more, it doesn't cover the cost of all the increases. So even though inflation dropped from 9% to 3%, the prices from when it was 9% are permanent. A $4 gallon of milk isn't going back to $3. You're permanently poorer than you were in 2019. Even if you get a raise. The American middle class is also being squeezed out of existence by the math. I mean, let's look at the housing crisis. The median household income is around $45,000 a year. The median home price is around $420,000. The traditional affordability rule that the home should cost 3 times your income is not the case in our reality, as homes now cost 9 times the median income. Then when we look at the mortgage payments, in 2019, a 30-year mortgage at 3.5% on a $300,000 home would equal to around $1,347 a month. In 2025, that 30-year mortgage at 6.5% on a $420,000 home equals $2,655 a month. That's nearly 2 times the payment for essentially the same house. And as a result, the median first home buyer is now around 40 years old. It's a record high, and Gen Z and younger millennials are functionally locked out. There's also a debt bomb that's about to explode, and Americans are drowning in debt. The total household debt is around $17.5 trillion plus dollars. Credit card balances are at all-time record high, auto loan delinquencies highest in nearly 20 years, and the student loan debt is around $1.7 trillion. Studies show that 60% of Americans couldn't handle an unexpected $500 to $1,000 emergency payment without going into debt or missing other payments, which means that most people are just one car repair or medical bill or one job loss away from financial catastrophe. And what makes debt even more dangerous right now is that credit card interest rates are at a 20 to 22% on average. If you're carrying a balance, you're being destroyed by interest charges. So when a recession hits, people with high interest debt get wiped out first. Then we can look over to the job market, which is cracking. Layoffs are rising quietly. The headlines aren't screaming recession yet, but the data tells a different story. In 2024, we had the worst year for layoffs since 2009, which was the Great Recession. In October 2024, job cuts were the highest for that month since 2003. There's also, in the tech space, there's been tech layoffs of around 150,000 plus people in 2023 to 2024 at Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Tesla. They all cut thousands of people. And if we look at finance, media, and retail, they are also cutting a lot of staff. And from these hits, entry-level workers, new college graduates, Gen Z workers, middle management, and remote workers are all the first that get hit, and get hit the hardest. The worker shortage of 2021 and 2022 is over, and employers have the leverage again. Job security is now weakening fast. Now, this all feels like a crisis, even if they don't really call it one on the media right now. It's the combination of all these different factors hitting all at once. It's almost like the perfect storm, where we have high prices that aren't coming down, high debt with expensive interest rates, slow wage growth that can't keep up, rising layoffs, reducing job security, and expensive borrowing of mortgages, car loans, business loans all cost more now. And unfortunately, it's almost like these are structural problems. And because they are structural problems, it only makes things worse, as they won't be just temporary issues. They're systematic problems that will take years and years to fix. Things like the housing market being absolutely frozen, where millions of homeowners have mortgages at 2.5 to 3.5%. Moving would mean getting a new mortgage at 6 to 7%. Their monthly payment would double for a similar sized house, and the result is nobody selling, and inventory stays low and prices stay high. And if we look at this, who does it affect the most? Well, it affects the first time buyers, the Gen Z and the young millennials who don't have an existing home to sell. You're competing for scraps while prices stay elevated at an all-time high. And the second structural problem is that companies are now cutting back because interests are high. Borrowing money to expand is expensive. Companies cut costs to protect profit margins, and the first thing cut is labor. And the second thing cut is new hiring, the new job opportunities for the younger generation. And this creates a hiring freeze even if the economy isn't technically in recession yet. The third structural problem is that government debt is out of control. The national debt of America is $34 trillion. The annual interest payment is around $1 trillion plus, which is more than the American government spends on defense, and this money has to come from somewhere. So option A is to raise taxes, which means you have less money. Option B is to print more money, which causes inflation, and your money is now worth less. Or option C is to cut government services, which means fewer safety nets when you need them. All three options hurt regular people, and there isn't really a good way out. The fourth structural problem is economic confidence is breaking. When people lose confidence, they stop spending, businesses make less money then. They stop investing and markets get volatile, and they lose trust in institutions, which means political instability. The stock market illusion right now is that the S&P 500 looks fine, but it is being propped up by just 7 mega tech companies: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, and Tesla. That's basically what it's being propped up by. So remove those factors and remove those companies and institutions from the S&P 500 and the market is flat or down, which is very fragile. So what could happen next? What are the realistic scenarios that could be happening? Well, scenario 1 is the slow grind, which is most likely. Not a dramatic 2008 style crash, but a slow grinding recession where unemployment rises gradually to 5 to 6%, GDP growth stalls, companies keep cutting staff quietly, which we see on the news all the time, especially when we're looking at, well, I personally look at the gaming companies and Ubisoft and all this kind of stuff. We always see layoffs like nearly every couple of months, even every month. Housing stays expensive and stagnant and takes 2 to 3 years to recover. Now, scenario 2 is the youth unemployment crisis. Entry-level and Gen Z workers face persistent high unemployment of around 8 to 12%, while older workers with experience stay employed, which creates a lost generation effect similar to millennials after 2008. Now, scenario 3 is the housing stalemate continues. Interest rates stay elevated longer than expected through 2026 to 2027, keeping the housing market frozen. Entire generation of potential home buyers stay locked out until their 30s and 40s. Scenario 4 is the debt spiral. As people lose jobs and can't pay debt and defaults rise, banks tighten lending. Businesses can't borrow or borrow as much, and the economy contracts further. This is the scary one, but it's not guaranteed. Scenario 5 is stagflation returns. Slow growth plus persistent inflation. Now, this is rare or a rare possibility right now, but it is still possible. I mean, the last time it happened was in the 1970s, and it was extremely painful because traditional solutions like cut rates to boost growth or raise rates to fight inflation didn't work, and they won't work if it happens again. So how would you protect yourself? What is the survival guide to all this? Well, the good news is individual preparation beats collective panic every single time. So here's a kind of skeleton playbook that you can at least think of some ideas and take them with you and kind of help you in the preparing stage as this crisis happens and unfolds before our very eyes. So the first thing you want to do is strengthen your personal balance sheet. So eliminate high interest debt, which is going to be your first priority. So credit card debt at 20% is an emergency. Pay minimums on everything, throw extra money at highest interest rate credits, and consider balance transfer to 0% APR cards. And that's if you qualify and can pay it off during the promo period. Avoid new debt like your life depends on it, because financially it does, especially in this situation. You're also going to want to build an emergency fund. So the minimum target here would be around $1,000, which covers most immediate emergencies like medical bills, car repairs, and all that kind of stuff. The better target would be, of course, $2,500 to $5,000, which covers job loss buffer. And the ideal target is around 3 to 6 months of expenses. So keep this in a high yield savings account, currently at 4 to 5% APY at banks like Marcus, Ally, or Wealthfront. Don't invest your emergency funds. Don't do that, because you need stability and not growth for this. Number 2 is to become harder to lay off. Companies cut nice to have workers first, but make yourself essential if you can. Build revenue impacting skills. Can you directly make the company money? Can you save the company significant money? Or do you have skills that nobody else on the team has? For example, learn the tools that your boss uses. Master the company's most important software and systems. Become the go-to person for critical tasks, and document everything so you're seen as organized and professional. And if you're watching this video, you're likely around 20, 25, maybe even 30, or in your mid 30s, around our kind of Gen Z-ish young millennial mark. So I would highly advise all these new AI tools, every single one, from Grok to Claude. Especially Claude is going to really help you. ChatGPT, of course, Gemini, every bit of AI, Higgs field with the video side, image generation. You're going to want to dedicate time to learn of all these skills, because a person that can use AI, and it's every day there's something new with AI. So you're going to want to get these skills early. You're going to want to adapt to AI very fast, because I guarantee you, even if you are laid off and you have all these AI skills, you're going to be an extremely efficient person, an extremely efficient worker. Because I guarantee you, you would be one of the only people in your office or in your business that can use AI effectively if you start learning it now. And because we're such an early stage with AI and all these new tools are just coming out, if you learn and master it now, or master it to a degree now, it's not even really mastering it, just like learning how to use it and being able to use it. And then you show that kind of prowess and that skill set to your bosses, and you can just say, go to your boss's office and say, look, I made this with AI, I could do this and that, and this is how I'm doing my systems. They're going to be like, holy moly, you can do all this. And nobody really in your office is going to have those skills, because a lot of people, even right now, they look down on AI, and the things that it can do for your work are just incredible. And with this, you're going to want to keep your resume ready and update it every quarter at least, or even every month, especially as you learn these new AI tools. And you're also going to want to build your network before you actually need it. So connect with colleagues, former co-workers, industry people, offer to help other people, attend industry events, or join online communities. And when layoffs hit, you want 10 plus people you can reach out to immediately. You're also going to want to use the market volatility to your advantage. So the dollar cost average of putting a fixed amount into investments every month, regardless of what the market is doing. When prices drop, you buy more shares. When they rise, you buy fewer. Over time, this averages out in your favor. So for example, if you invest $300 a month into the VTI, which is the total stock market index, and the market drops around 20%, you bought shares on sale. When the market recovers over 5 to 10 years, those sale shares make you a huge profit margin. And for safety, or if you don't really know much about the stock market, the smart thing to do here is to stick to diversified index funds, which is the VTI, which is the total US stock market, or the VOO, which is the S&P 500, or the VXUS, which is the international stocks. And when you're doing this, do not try to time the market. Do not panic sell when things go red. Do not buy individual stocks unless you really know what you're doing, and do not touch your investments for 10 plus years. The historical truth is that every major crash from 1929, 1987, the 2000, 2008, and 2020 recovered within 3 to 6 years. People who stayed invested got rich, and people who sold in panic lost money permanently. And of course, you're gonna want to increase your income. And that's kind of like, of course you want to do that, duh. Thanks for the advice, a-hole. But in a recession, you can't cut expenses enough to win. You have to earn more. So you can ask for a raise and do this with proof and document your wins or research market rates for your role. And if you realize by researching that you're severely underpaid, then maybe you should be prepared to walk and find a better opportunity. Maybe you can job hop to a place that pays you 10 or 20% more, and don't ever quit without having another job lined up. I remember seeing someone on TikTok who says that even if you have a job, you should still always be doing interviews for other ones. For example, if I've been a manager at a firm and I'm getting paid $45,000, I should be interviewing for other firms that are similar or that I can apply my skill set to if their job offers pop up on the internet, and of course if they pay more and what their company benefits are. They said that you should always be trying to get into a better situation, or at least get that interview experience so you know what to say for when the next big job opportunity comes. Because even if you stay loyal to these companies nowadays, they do not care about you. That's literally a fact. I'll give you an example of my teacher who basically stayed at this school, and she was a deputy head for 26 years at this school, and just I think 2 years ago she left, and she was loyal to this school for 26 years. And when the new management of the school came in, she didn't get on with this new management, and they kind of changed a lot of things around, and she was the head of the sixth form division, which is almost like the college stage before you go into university in the UK. And it's just crazy that after 26 years, these new people just swoop on in, it changed a bunch of things, and after 26 years of being happy at this job, and she was a great teacher, one of my favorites, they just came in and basically made her life and her workplace unbearable to the point where she quit this job of 26 years. That's just crazy to me, because it feels like to me like the school wasn't loyal to her, and now it seems she's happy at a different school. But that just taught me a lot, and that just really reaffirmed to me that these places do not care about you, man. And if we look at the percentages of how many Americans are actually prepared for this, the numbers do look a bit grim, because only 39% of Americans could cover a $1,000 emergency with savings. 21% would have to go into debt, 12% would have to sell something or borrow from family, and 54% are living paycheck to paycheck, including 30% of those earning $100,000 or more. Now, among the 30-year-olds of this, 67% have less than $1,000 in savings. Can you believe that? That is insane. 45% are carrying credit card debt month to month. Only 15% are investing in retirement accounts, and less than 5% have diversified emergency fund plus investment plus low debt. So if you follow this guide, you'll be in the top 10 to 15% of financially prepared people for your age, because the bar is extremely low and you can absolutely clear it. And it is such a shame that we don't get taught this stuff in school. I mean, I just did a video on the Roth IRA, and the numbers for how many people aren't using that incredible opportunity is just insane. So I'll leave that video link in the description and pinned comment section below. And the bottom line here is that crisis equals danger plus opportunity. Yes, America is likely entering a financial crisis driven by high prices that aren't coming down, high interest rates making borrowing expensive, high debt crushing households, weak wage growth that can't keep up, rising layoffs, reducing job security, and frozen housing market, plus fragile economic confidence. But again, this is not a guaranteed collapse. It's a transition period that will separate the prepared from the unprepared. Every major economic crisis creates massive opportunities. The 2008 crash, people who bought stocks in houses in 2009 and 2011 made absolute fortunes. 2020's COVID crash, markets dropped to 35% in March, then had the fastest recovery ever. The 1970s stagflation led to the greatest bull market of the 1980s to 1990s, and the Great Depression set up post-World War II economic booms. The The pattern shows that prepared people with cash, skills, and low debt buy assets on sale and build wealth. Panic people will debt sell at the bottom and they will stay poor because of it. So if you're watching this video and you made it all the way to this point, you have watched this, you're informed, you know what's coming, and most people don't. And I really hope that this information will help you as people are panicking to be debt free or low in debt. Emergency funded is like stable, consistently investing through the dip, you're building high value skills, you're staying employed or quickly finding new work, and you are positioned to buy assets when they are cheap. Because the next 2 years will be hard, but if you stay disciplined, you'll emerge in 2027 to 2028 in the top 10% financially while everyone else is still recovering.